a special guest tonight, and we have a conversation that has needed to be held for a while, for years actually. But now the two of us are going to really break this down to the nitty gritty. So incidents like this will never happen again. So without any further ado, I'm going to allow my guest to introduce himself. So please welcome Beatzilla PDX official.
Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. I am BeatzillaPDX official. And man, we are here with the brother Afro Elite getting it in this evening. Talking that new black media talk. you know?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening to everybody in the chat. I see Nikki the God, Black TS4, brother. Nino is in here, Kid Gravity, Mike, B1 to every single
Hey,
last one of you
what?
all. If you can do
What?
me a favor and make sure you like the video, I would greatly appreciate it. And check out our brother Beatzilla. Check
Yes.
out his channel because he puts a lot of black first content out as well on YouTube. The link to that, of course, is going to be in the description.
Mhm.
Um, the reason why he's Nino already liked and shared.
Right on, right
Yep,
on, right
FBA
on.
all day.
Yes, indeed.
Well, oh Lord, here we go with the trolls.
Oh boy.
Trolls. Okay. We got Mister. We got
Robert
we got the trolls back up in here.
Robert
Let me get them back.
Suarez. Long time no see, buddy.
Hey, but that means we're doing something effective. That means we're doing something
Absolutely.
effective.
Oh yeah.
So let me since this is like your first time on this channel, why don't you allow let me ask you a little bit about yourself, like if you
Yes.
could give the audience a little bit of information about you, and like what you do in
Mhm.
case they have not seen you before.
Right, right. Well, right off the rip, I'm a most people by the name, you could tell I'm a musician, lifelong musician by trade. Also, have I've grown up, like a second generation. I guess they could label me a radical. Some would call me a militant. But I just say I got a passion for my people. Always been black first, and I come from an environment that I was luckily spoiled to have a lot of rich black history instilled in my environment and just in the culture, even in this little small enclave of black folks in the Northwest. Is really, really, really soulful. So just having that, and we have a deep, deep connection to the South. So that country togetherness came up here, and that's pretty much makes the individual to which you see. Now, what I do now is, I'm somewhat of a tactician. I love being behind the scenes as a voice of the new black media and also a supporter of new black media as well. I've just been part here, and just being part of the mix of making this thing move. Some things that go viral may have or may not have been my doing. What matters are results. So I'll put it like that. So I'm always about the team. I'm always about us, and we are about the business of empowerment. And that's
Absolutely.
that's me.
Absolutely. Well put. Very well put. This is not about an individual's ego. This is not about I
Mhm.
want to be the leader of the group. I want to be the
Ooh,
biggest person on YouTube. I want to be the biggest person in the media. This is about hey, everybody is doing their part for the sake of black empowerment. That's all there is to it.
real
This
talk.
there's a I mean we're passionate, of course, but there's
Right.
nothing personal behind this. There's no secret agenda behind this.
Not at all. Heart on the sleeve, baby.
Yes.
Yes,
Um,
indeed.
like I said, B1 to everybody in the chat. We have Samuel Logan in here. Good to see you again, brother. Now, The title of tonight's video, what our discussion is going to be about, is no more racial showcasing. As Neely Fuller Jr., one of our icons, our black icons, he coined the term
Mhm.
racial showcasing, which is, for the most part, um, yeah, to break it down, to for giving an example, is pretty much what they're doing with Obama, Kamala Harris, Ketanji Brown Jackson. That is them not doing anything to benefit black people, but they'll put a black person on a pedestal, or what it might seem like, in a very high position, and then say, well, look at this. Your success is, you have success vicariously through that person. We're
Mhm.
gonna allow a black person to be in that position, and then we're going to say, look at what we've done for the group collectively, despite the fact that the group is being undermined and oppressed because of somebody on the Supreme Court.
You and to piggyback off of that real quick, just to show you what they really truly think of our community. Now they're celebrating the historical victory. We have representation, and here it is Tuesday, and we started our week off with looking at Lizzo's cheeks going up on. I mean, this is the big promotion. Just like 4 days later, Black Woman Supreme Court followed it right up with Lizzo. Racial showcasing at its finest. I mean, because I don't know if you saw that yet, my brother, but
I haven't. I haven't seen. I haven't seen that. I'm
I,
probably gonna have to, just due to, but I kind of really don't want to.
Lord.
Yeah.
Lord. She's I'll put it to you this way, man. She's in chaps. Like so if you just put that
Oh
picture in
Lord.
mind.
Lord.
Yeah.
Now, I've seen you've done videos, and this was before, I guess, before she was confirmed, Katanji was
Mm-hmm.
confirmed. And you've done videos breaking down her denying race and her trying to kind of ride the fence as well.
Yeah.
You've kind of was hammering on the fact that she's not for black people early
Oh
prior
man.
to that. So, um can you I'm sure you got some feedback, because I've gotten feedback talking
Mm-hmm.
about, well, this is a good representation. I mean, why this is so great. So can you explain maybe some of the feedback or some of the things that you've been hearing in response to black people collectively not being gleeful that Ketanji Brown
Right.
Jackson is in the Supreme Court?
Ultimately, I think because it's so factually laid out already for everybody that you have the Lockheed Martin situation, but then right as when she was asked about racial situations within the judicial system, she got completely tongue tied. But then when they asked her about the black community and their relationship with the judicial system, right off the rip, she knew how we were thinking, she knew how we were feeling, and then they flipped the script, asked her about, well, define a woman. She's right back to tongue tied. Only thing that she was certain about was how negative black people were. But she was definitely dedicated to the interests of making sure little white children did not feel like they were racist.
Mm,
So that right there tell you right off the rip, her only intent is making a certain group happy. And when you look at that group, she represents her social choices within her own marriage. That's her political decision. And, she clearly got what she wanted to get out of the deal. You know what I mean?
yeah. Okay. Somebody asked an important question, Logan. I don't know why I say Logan first. They give one black person a job and say they did something for us. And then they ask why. I'm gonna let you answer first.
You know, the thing about it is, we have always kind of had that talented 10th thing going on in our community. So we always, throughout the histories, got into the mode of celebrating. And it was cool 50 years ago to celebrate the first black. It is not cool in 2022 to be celebrating the first black anything when you have people out here saying this is not a racial country or racist country. And we have a lot of that going on. So what they have to do, they're holding on to an old fossil of an idea that black people just aren't tuning into anymore. But they're gonna beat that dead horse until they realize the flies have devoured it.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Now, to answer your question, that was a good question, Samuel. To answer
Mm-hmm.
your question, what happens is because most black people, especially foundational black Americans, have like too much common sense in our brain. So we just assume that everybody is really operating on the same common sense level.
Thank you.
But that's a bad assumption for us to have because we think that okay, if we have like a black mayor, if we have a black governor, if we have a black person here and a black person here, then that kind of sets the standard, or that kind of opens the door, that the first black person is going to open the door for more success to come after the fact. That's what, because that would, you would imagine that. That's just
Mm,
what you would imagine, that okay, you will allow one black person in, so now the door has officially been opened, then the next black person, and then it will be a chain of success after that.
right.
However, what our problem is that we didn't learn that that was a trick that they were using. They weren't
Ooh,
using that to open the door. They opened the door, pulled the black person in, and then closed the door. And then said, look, well, there's a black guy in here. So this isn't a whites only party. This isn't racist because there's a black guy in here. But as soon as they brought the black guy in the room or the black woman in the room, they made sure, okay, that's all. We can't have too many Negroes in here.
right, right.
So it's our responsibility to learn, okay, that's their tactic of the token black person in the job. So that,
Absolutely.
or in the position, so they can't say, well, the government is racist. Well, how is the government racist? You have a mayor, you have a governor, you have these representatives. It's not racist. The
Right,
door, they give the, it's a glass ceiling that they
right.
allow you to think.
Now you know something. While you were saying that, it just came to mind. What I was watching right before we came on was the New York press conference for the subway shooter that just happened.
Mm,
Unfortunately, the suspect that they're looking for is a black man. I don't know if he's foundational black American or not, but unfortunately, yeah, the picture's turning up as a brother. Now look at this flip. This is where we're moving into as far as the grassroots B1 space having so much influence in the world. They're now starting to choose dangerous Negroes. And when I say dangerous Negroes, I mean these Negroes that hate black folks so much that they are willing to get into those positions and completely sell us out. So, what happened today? Uh, Mayor Eric Adams out of New York, the black mayor, this dude is basically starting to try to talk in a national crime bill using the situation in the subway going, so mark my words, Joe Biden is going to be paying another visit to New York. It's going to be the big photo op with him and Eric Adams talking about how we're going to get tough on crime.
yeah. I
So yeah.
saw a press conference, and Joe Biden is talking about he's getting rid of gun, like ghost
The
guns and
ghost
all of that
guns.
stuff as well too. I want you guys to understand, and I've been saying this for the
Woo.
longest time. When they talk about gun laws or getting stricter on gun laws, what they're saying, you have to understand, pay attention to what they're saying, and then
Yes.
fill in the blanks. When they talk about getting strict on any law, they're referring to, okay, this is going to apply to the black people. We're not going to do this with white people. You got white people who had guns.
Mhm.
This was back in 2020. They were storming, walking up on the Capitol, protesting with
Right.
their assault rifles. White people go crazy with their guns.
Yes, they do.
Joe Biden's not trying to stop them. Watch with the gun laws. Watch this affect. black neighborhoods. This is going to affect
Mm-hmm.
Chicago, Baltimore, Detroit,
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta. This is going to affect where black people live.
You better
Watch,
know it.
watch.
And prime example. Now, granted, remember, I'm in Portland, Oregon, so this is a super small uh, group of black folks that we're dealing with. Although we made national, international news with these protests, guess who's getting all the time? And these cats out here are getting more time for Molotov cocktails than any of the January 6th terrorists.
Mm,
And I mean, one of these cats got 6 years. Now, if y'all might have remembered, now for those of us in the B1, would remember this kid almost got hit by this white man trying to run him down in his truck. The dude misses running to the pole. Now, what they did here is prosecute the boy that he tried to hit for whipping that man after he tried to kill him. And he's doing 6 years right now.
mm. It seems interesting because and this is let me say this. This is why I'm telling you guys about laws and certain things being vague. These people study laws for years. Okay, being a lawyer is not like something you can apply to and then they are like, well, we need lawyers, so here you go. We'll train you as you go. No,
Right.
it's something that you study and it's something that you become. So when they make a law and they introduce that among several other lawyers, they know for a fact they leave things specifically vague enough to where they can pick and choose when it applies to people. And
Mm-hmm.
our brother Torian Rain has been bringing this up a lot in his videos when it comes to the self-defense law. When it comes to the self-defense law, white people get the self-defense law. The black person doesn't even have to have a gun. White people can shoot unarmed people and call that self-defense.
Right.
Okay, do we haven't forgotten Rittenhouse?
Right.
White people
Right.
go around shooting other people, call that self-defense. They're the ones with the gun. The other person doesn't have a gun. A
Right.
black person actually does self-defense, actually does defend themselves after being attacked, and they're all like, well, you're black, so you don't have the right to protect yourself, so now you're going to face the consequences. You should have just got beaten up or killed.
That's
So
essentially
that's
the
a trick.
truth. No, I can vouch for that. That's my true life story. Like I've actually literally lived that. I was, and this is by somebody who literally admitted to the police that they were attacking me. But you know how they got sympathy? By taking a recording into the court, telling them that I already suspected this dude of being a white supremacist.
Mm,
So instead of me defending myself, now I'm the aggressor because I had to shoot him. So nonetheless, I did 14 and a half months, but hey, always defend yourself regardless of the situation. Them people gonna do what they gonna do, but you have a duty to your family and an obligation to your children if you have them to make sure that you defend yourself and keep yourself here on earth to be here for your family. That's your duty.
exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now there was one clip, and shout out to everybody in the chat, of course.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes. I see my
be
people in the chat.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey,
Your people roll deep. They rock with you.
right on.
Be one to everybody in here. There's a clip that I'm sure you've seen, but there's a clip that I want to get your opinion on. So let me share this real quick. This is Jennifer Lewis dancing in celebration to Ketanji Brown Jackson's being confirmed. I guess her winning.
Ooh, Lord.
Rolling. We've come a long way.
Justice Brown Jackson.
We came in to celebrate.
Justice Brown
We
Jackson.
came from Harriet and Sojourner.
Justice Brown Jackson.
Out of the Wells and Dr. King.
Justice Brown Jackson.
Shirley Chisholm.
Justice Brown
Oh,
Okay. All right. All right. Hold on. Let me do it like this. Let me do it like this now.
Jesus.
Okay. So, brother Beatzilla, what do you have to say about this?
You know, it's so funny how they can easily spin things, and the plantation children that's in the DNA of some of these folks just kicks in. All she had to do was be a Republican, and then oh, she's the worst thing since they would have been treating her like Winsome Sears. But
Mm-hmm.
now that she's a Democrat, oh, she's the greatest. Because notice nobody even celebrates Winsome Sears. But
Exactly.
and she's the first black woman. Yeah. She's a Republican. But this woman, she's the greatest thing on earth.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny because it's like, well, now you have given us the most strategic advantage of over you ever, because all we have to do is say, this black person who really ain't ever gonna do nothing for you, hey, she's black and she's with us, so she must be good for you. And that's what's so crazy. And this super duper plantation celebration here, and they're going to do more of this.
Mm-hmm.
There's supposed to be more of this week. So
Oh
I can
Lord.
I can only imagine by the end of the month, by the end of this week, the whole country is going to smell like biscuits. It's going to smell like walking past the Popeyes.
Lord help. Now I'm glad you brought up that point because that's a good point. Now I've mentioned that before. Notice how the black woman, oh my god, she's the first black woman we should praise. How great, oh my god, it's a black woman, black woman. Notice how the dominant society only pulls that card when the black woman is on the left side.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, what was her name again? I forgot it. Just
Winsome Sears.
Winsome Sears, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't talk about, oh well, we should praise her because she's a black woman. Now if you was to criticize, and we've done it, when you criticize Kamala Harris, when you
Oh,
criticize Ketanji Brown Jackson, you're just hating on a black woman. Remember, I think I forgot his name. That's how irrelevant he was. When we were talking about Ketanji Brown Jackson, oh, it's just black men don't like dark-skinned black women.
good
It's
grief.
that it's the fact that the black woman is just so any criticism, it's the black woman is just so hated on. She's just so
Right.
hated on for no reason. She's above criticism if
Right.
she's on the left. Now if she's a Republican, um then she can be criticized, she can be debunked, people can make all types of videos about her, so she loses the black women are above criticism privilege
Mm-hmm.
if she's on
Mm-hmm.
the Republican side. But if she's on the
Mm-hmm.
Democratic side, then she's a black woman, she's a great representation for little black girls to look up to. And any criticism, you're just hating on black women and you just don't like dark-skinned black women. And
Right.
it's just you hate your mom. It's that excuse.
Yes, and it's one of them things that's kind of by design. That's one of those things that kind of go back to the social engineering type of programming.
No,
Because
he
oh,
Michael Eric Dyson, he said that. Okay, thank
Michael,
you.
yes, that was Michael
Michael
Eric
Eric
Dyson,
Dyson.
the caramel, whatever he.
Yeah, we got caramel chocolate, mocha. Like dude.
Man, and a lot of us have black wives, and most of our wives are brown. I know mine is. So when he's saying stuff like that, it's like that sounds crazy. Um, but I got to look at how they want to play it and look at our relationship situation. So our relationships are fragmented. So you forge this black women, black women, black women, black women. You pump up the black women, you forget about the black children. So the black children kind of get left out of this
Mm-hmm.
line of sight. Because now they're talking about representation, but now the only thing you could look to now, don't even look to your own mother. Look to this woman to who's married to this white man.
Exactly. Which is interesting because when it comes to representation, which I believe is important, if the representation is good, If it's a good representation, then it's
Right.
important to have.
Right.
Um, but what I'm noticing is that the representation that they want an anti-nuclear family representation.
Ooh.
There was articles, and I just did a video about that. Shout out to Brown Skin Baddie, who I
Yeah.
hosted that with.
Yeah. I
Just
saw
did a
that.
video about they're making articles talking about look at Kamala and look at Ketanji Brown Jackson. They have white husbands, and it's kind of like it's a they're trying to
Mhm.
make a correlation between having a white husband and being successful. If they have
Uh-huh.
white husbands, they're very successful. So you can kind of see the common denominator in there. So
Right.
they're trying to when it comes to representation, they're trying to represent the dysfunction of the black family by saying, "Oh, well,
Absolutely.
look at how great white men would be for you."
Absolutely. But what's funny, you never hear that same line the other way, which tells you that somebody has an interest somewhere. Because, like, when you start hearing things, prime example, they just gave $30 million funding for, of course, more black targeted voter promotion. So we're going to start seeing the heavy Democrat vote, 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 vote. But they are paying these folks, these shills, $30 million.
Mhm.
So what they want to do is get us back under control. And we have this. As black folks, we have to start maturing into being politically intellectual and vetting everything that we see. So then we start just cutting out the symbolism. And so when they wouldn't even do this if y'all wasn't still reacting to it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Another, do you notice how easily black people get into party mode and
Oh,
celebration mode? And this goes for everybody in the chat room. I want you guys to notice how every time there's a symbolic victory for us, there's a tangible victory for
mm,
somebody else. um
mm,
when we were supposed to be celebrating Kamala, oh my God, Kamala, she's um the first black vice president, first female black vice president. Oh my God, that's so great. As we're celebrating symbolism, which is
mhm,
Kamala being the president, Obama being the president, Katanji, those are symbolic victories. While we're
right.
supposed to be celebrating symbolism, also Juneteenth. That's not tangible. While we're celebrating that, they're giving billions of dollars to Afghanistan refugees. Now they're giving billions of dollars to Ukrainian refugees. They're giving
Mhm.
tangibles to Asians. Okay,
Yes.
so
You know
every
what?
single time they do this, that's supposed to make us feel like, okay, we're coming up. So we don't logically look at the compare, because they know they
No,
have to do things for other groups of people, but they are
absolutely.
like they can't do it for us, so they have to do it with to somebody else. So they're gonna give us, we're gonna paint Black Lives Matter on the streets, or we're gonna make a statue of George Floyd, and we're supposed to go like, "Yay, that's so great!" And
Right.
and they're cutting the check for everybody
Oh,
else.
man, I was just listening to the what is it? The secretary. So they're doing the budget right now on Capitol Hill,
Hmm.
and today it just came out, and I'm glad that I was late listening because they asked this question about the money for the police. It was like, so are you cutting police funding? It was like, actually, no. It's more money in this new spending bill that they're giving. So for those who don't know, the police just got that much more money than they already were allotted under anyone else. So we can't say this the Democrats. This Joe Biden just gave the police way more money than Trump ever gave them. So uh,
Exactly.
y'all better pay attention to these
Hmm.
bills and these. Watch C-SPAN, y'all. I'll say that. Just
Now, then you break up a very good point. Now that this is the deception, and to an extent you can't be you blame them for being the deceivers, but you
Mhm.
have to take accountability for the fact that you are being deceived. Real
Yes.
quick shout out to the super chat by Mr. Bucket List. Keep up the good work, brothers. I greatly appreciate it. We definitely will. Shout out to you,
Thanks. Shout out to you,
Mr.
brother.
Bucket List, Mr. Bucket List. Okay. Um, my mouse was on it, so I couldn't see the name again. But when we was going through in 2020, they was all like, "Oh, this is Trump's America," with all of the race soldiers doing their racism in the streets, and they were trying to put that off on Trump, and the Democratic Party was like, look at Trump, look at Trump. Now when Joe Biden gets in there, Joe Biden's going to change, he's going to make racism go away, because racism comes from the president. So when Joe Biden comes in there, since he's just such a godly man, he's going to make racism go away. They were doing that, and we were saying the whole time, Joe Biden has never had an issue with the police. There's never been a problem with police that Joe Biden has ever made a stance against.
Right.
We were also saying, you have to understand the trick words. You have to understand the vernacular that they're using. It's a term that's slipping my mind right now. But when they use certain words, when they use certain phrases like, okay, defund the police. And I said this before. I remember making a live about this before. I said, do not do that. Do not say defund the police, because defund the police is going to be a red herring. We're talking about punishing the police.
Right.
So once you guys share defund the police, defund the police, defund the police, now they have taken the conversation off to another place.
Right.
And now they can talk about, okay, well, let's not defund the police, because that's not really a good idea anyway. And we're all the way over here when the conversation was actually arresting and charging the police. This is why when you see something that just pops up out of nowhere, and I know I've been saying this, when you see something that just pops up out of nowhere, analyze, does this make sense? The synoptics, they get you with that. They get you with that. Super chat by Summer Rain. B1 Black Kings and Queens of Excellence. B1 to you, Summer.
B1.
And thank you for the super chat.
Yes, indeed. Yeah,
shout out to Summer Rain, and shout out to Mr. Bucket List. Rounds of applause to them in the chat room, please.
Yes, indeed. Shout out to y'all. Yeah, they often, like to use optics and different, because like I said, we went from, they're basically covering two birds with one stone. With, you have Ketanji and you follow it up with Lizzo. So for the people who aren't inspired by a Ketanji, you have a Lizzo who we already know. Just mark my words. In the next few months, she's going to be all over the place doing Democrat voting stuff. So I'm because they just spent $30 million is going somewhere. So I expect to see quite a few celebrities and maybe some new faces, because they need some people with new credibility. So look for some of these newer rappers. Well, not newer rappers, older rappers that were never talking politics. Keep an eye out for them starting to make that switch.
Exactly. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. Shout out to Nikki the Goss, and I really like it. I really like it here.
Hey, Nikki.
I'm glad you're here.
Yes, indeed.
One thing now, let me ask you. Somebody had called me right after I did my video. Well, when I made the post about Ketanji Brown Jackson being a Trojan horse. And I said that, and somebody said, okay, well, maybe this is just good representation. Maybe she might not do it, but it's a plus, because it's representation for other young black children, specifically black girls, who might see Ketanji or who might see Kamala, and they might say, well, if they can do it, then I can do it. Now that I've seen them do it, now that makes me want to work harder and achieve what they've achieved. So let me ask you, in your own words, is Ketanji Brown Jackson, is Kamala Harris, is their position beneficial for the sake of representation? Is it at least beneficial in that way? What do you say to that?
First off, just get it out the way for my wife's sake. Kamala is not black, but but I think it really is a. I don't know. To me, representation only matters if they're representing you. I mean, because like I'm saying, they're calling it representation, but there's Republicans, independents all over these first and first and first that don't ever get recognized. It's just the ones that they want to use at the moment to get what they want done. So it'd be like, look at this one. This is the special. This is the special Negro for the moment.
Hmm.
See, and so I don't think long term. I've never seen that have an effect. Not in my life, And I'm middle aged, so I've
Hmm.
never even with even Barack Obama. Let's just put that out there. Who's looking? What kids are coming up there coming up talking about? I want to be like Barack Obama.
Wow, that's
So
true.
so so why would we be looking to her like, oh, Supreme Court justice? Are you kidding? That's like Good Times. Like y'all still look at us like that? Like Michael from Good Times? That's kind of how I see that. It's like,
Hmm.
damn, you don't think we have progressed as politically?
Yeah,
Jeez.
and to piggyback off of what you said, because that was very wise what you just said. To piggyback off of that, um black people collectively, especially foundation black Americans, have gotten so much more politically educated, so much faster than they expected us to. um because they've been used to, okay, we're going to acknowledge you, because like I said, um we have too much morality and common sense in our brains, and the problem, that's a good thing, but the problem is we project that onto everybody else. That's our problem, not that we have it, but we project it. So when we have a moral person, when they hear that somebody is being harmed, when they acknowledge there's a problem, and when they acknowledge somebody is being harmed, a moral person will start implementing the steps to fix the situation. And that's what we think, because we're moral people. So we
Right.
think when a politician gets on stage and a politician says, um, black people, I see your pain. I've been through what you've been through. I acknowledge you guys. That's kind of giving the implication that, okay, well, if you see the problem, you're gonna fix the problem. But then when they get into office, they're like, oh, I didn't technically say I was gonna do anything.
Right.
I didn't say
Right.
that.
Right. I think, when they say, like people say, I feel your pain, they understand. Like when I was a kid growing up, we used to have the politicians always come around, when they're running, doing their elections, they always would come to the black churches. So they want to come to the black church, get all of them black votes. So they knew exactly the crowd to go to first. So they
Hmm.
started pandering to the big mamas and the aunties and great great grandma and all the old deacons. They started pandering to that. And then also you got like the old lodge crowd. So all them old black, all them old heads that be at the lodge. So they're all into this like JFK's God type mentality. A
Hmm.
lot of them still hold on to that. Cause like when I was growing up, like it wasn't until around maybe 82 till they started taking them JFK fans up out of folks' churches. Cause man, some of these black folks used to have pictures of that man in their house like he was Jesus.
Mm.
So you gotta think of like we're not far removed from that at all, unfortunately. But I think we are definitely making great strides, way more than before. Because now we're at a stage where we're saying we need to see something, and they're still trying to push the symbolic gesture down our throat. But as long as we stay on our square, hey, the symbolic gesture is going to have to turn into cash payments.
Exactly. And do you know how Biden's ratings have just been plummeting. I'm sure you've noticed how Biden's ratings have been plummeting despite
Mm-hmm.
his pandering. Now, I'm not gonna lie, about 15, 20 years ago, Biden could have gotten away with a Juneteenth federal holiday. He couldn't have
Easy.
got away with, oh, I'm going to appoint a black woman as my vice president, Kamala Harris, who was just dissing him and calling him a sexual predator while they were
Right.
in the debates. And
Right.
then when she got it, she's, we did it, Joe, Joe, we did it, Joe. So, okay. Now,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I want a black woman on the Supreme Court. All the pandering, specifically to black women, specifically to the older Democrat loyalist black women.
Absolutely.
Um, and that's not working. That's not working anymore because we're
No.
starting to see we're starting to see. Okay, well, we need all this. We have many black mayors. We have many black governors. The cities are still poor, and the white people living in the cities aren't facing the same problems we are. But the mayor's black.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
I know you were probably, especially now, especially back then, you were probably a very big outlier when you were having these ideologies. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I want to kind of change gears a little bit and want to discuss voting, for example, because the midterms are coming up.
Yes, indeed.
The
Yes,
midterms are
indeed.
coming up. So I'm very, very sure of what you're going to say. But just for the audience's sake, if somebody tells you we should vote for the lesser of two evils because our people died for us to have the right to vote, what would your response be?
Well, I would say first stop telling yourself that lie. Your people died for freedom and equality and justice, and they ain't got none of them yet. So the whole voting thing, at some point, I guess I would say, what would your people and those people who died, what would they say to you seeing where you are now? Do you think they wouldn't tell you to do something else that's working or to keep doing what doesn't work? And that's where I would tell somebody. So for myself, unless you are getting tangibles, hold your vote. If you have a candidate like, say, Brother Marcel Dixon, who's representing for South Carolina, out now for y'all South Carolinians, go vote for that man. But outside of that, hell no. If they don't have nothing for you, you ain't got nothing for them. This is a business. What store are you going into, giving them money and walking back out with nothing? We should be, as a people, tired of doing that. And we can't get empowered by waiting for them to do something. A holding your vote situation forces people to do business with you.
Mm, exactly.
Period.
Exactly. And the chat room is lighting up. A shout out to everybody in the chat room. Let me ask you another question then. Let me ask you another question just to piggyback. You gave a perfect answer. And I love the store analogy because that's exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Voting, getting up, leaving your house, spending your gas or spending your day, even if you're not
Right.
spending any money to vote, is like
Man.
going to a store and paying for a service or going to a restaurant and not getting the food. Um, but let
And
me
give,
ask
and
you
give them a tip.
what if somebody comes up to you and says, well, if we don't vote, then the Republicans are going to win?
Hmm. I say let them win. Because here's where the business part comes in at. Let's look at the brass tacks. Now, if you're, because this is one thing I wanted to get through with the last election. I just wanted one person to tell me one policy of Joe Biden that he has promised for black folk.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is while they're telling us how much Ice Cube done sold out by going talking to Trump. Hey, man, my vote is for sale. So who got it? And it's simple as that. There's no emotional attachment because the Democrats ain't loyal to us. I mean, we are in a country to where blood had to be spilled just for us to be let off the plantation. Then on top of that, They wanted to fight to keep us out of the equal workforce. We ain't in no situation that we owe a vote to anyone. And if we're not getting anything out of it, we're just harming ourselves.
Absolutely. Shout out to Ebony May. She put in a super chat saying, asking us to choose between the two evils is like asking us to go to Ruth Chris and offering us a choice between dog or cat food. Both are bad. Shout out to
That's
Ebony
right.
May. Shout out to her super chat.
Yeah.
But she makes a great point, actually.
Yes.
That is a
Absolutely.
great point.
Absolutely. I totally agree, sis.
So there are black people, and now let me ask you, because we our, I guess, level of consciousness is starting to become, is starting to spread.
Right.
Okay, it's
Right.
starting to become contagious, especially with the new black media. And it is, April is the new Black Media Appreciation Month.
Yes.
So thank you, and thank all of the new black
Hey.
media who are doing a good job.
I appreciate it.
Let me ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why are some people still so stuck on the Democratic plantation? Why are some people like Jennifer Lewis still so stuck on symbolism? Why do you feel that is, in your opinion?
Excuse me. I guess I can say I've literally witnessed what Dr. Joy DeGruy has been able to show all of y'all in her book, Post Traumatic Slave Syndrome, just by living here in Portland, and witnessing the dynamics between kind of the militant section and then more of the Jack and Jill section. Because I mean, here we kind of, it's like I'm saying it's small, but we have it all. So just being able to watch how some of these people come up in these Jack and Jill ish, like these programs start at like preschool for children. And it's just like one big old factory that just brushes you along with a certain ideology of they've lost the brown paper bag test, but it's like be a mulatto inside. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
And so don't worry about outwardly being light skinned. Look at yourself as damn near white inside. And so when you have that connection, the Democrats, they were nice to you. And they smile when they do bad things to you. Unlike Trump, Trump will just tell you, I don't like it. So, hey, this is what it is. But, for the ones who can smile at you, it almost turns like Black America has turned into a big old bed winch for the Democrats.
Wow.
It's the way I can put
That's
it.
a true statement.
Straight up.
True statement.
Ooh, biscuit.
They're loyal. What in the hell? Okay, hold on. I apologize about that.
It's all good, brother.
I'm sorry about that, y'all.
Hey, man, I know you live right now, but hey, check it out.
Yeah, man, this happens every single time I go live. Somebody always calls me, and I announce it like an hour or so. I try to make sure that I try to make sure that everybody knows I'm live, and then when I go live, somebody's calling.
That is so funny.
Okay. You make a great point. You're making a great point when it comes to they've just been socialized and programmed. It's almost as if they've been like just brain colonized.
Absolutely.
They don't have the will to leave.
Right.
Unlike us, we have the will.
Right. That's it. No, you hit the nail on the head. They do not have the will to leave. So, but look at what again, think of what Harriet Tubman was saying about all the ones that could not be convinced that they were slaves. Our enemy took that as a Bible blueprint. and
Mm,
said, "Oh, within all of these next generations, we just have to convince them that they slaves, but they free."
mm,
You see that?
yeah.
They slaves, but they're free.
Mm.
Now, actually, where can we go without their say so?
You're asking?
No, I'm saying because we still got to get that passport.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want to get out of the clutches of the United States, we have to get their okay just to go on vacation. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That ain't free. You very much a slave. You property. That's dictated movement. But they, as long as you convince the person and the subject that they are in the bounds of freedom, they good.
Yeah. As our brother, I remember I believe this actually this stuck with me. The first time I ever called the Black Authority or Jason Black.
Hmm.
So, and I say both the names just in case you guys maybe have heard one and not the other one.
Right.
They're the same name, same person.
Right.
Um, but when I called in, he gave me a quote from him, one of his quotes saying that everybody understands racism. Nobody is um naive to it.
Hmm.
It's you have two types of black people: the black people who fight against racism, or the black people who see racism and fight it, or the
Hmm.
black people who see racism and go back to picking the cotton.
Right.
So that's them. And the thing is that we understand morally that we shouldn't be picking the like there's something deep down intrinsic in us
Right.
to for us to understand we shouldn't be living a lower quality life because we're
Mm.
black.
Right.
So what they're doing is they have to they're picking the cotton happily, but they can't. It's like subconsciously they're not okay with it. So what they're doing is
Hmm.
what they call damn, the term slips my mind. They're lying to themselves.
Yes.
Okay, is the
Yes.
they're lying to themselves by saying, "Oh, I'm you're trying to plan a revolution. I'm picking this cotton, but this cotton I'm picking, this is a move on the chessboard. That's the term that they use. This is a move on the chessboard. So you really don't know 2,000 years down the line,
Woo.
I'm not going to be picking this. This is a you not thinking as smart as I'm thinking. They're
Mm.
really just picking the cotton and they're coming up with an excuse because they don't want to face the reality of the fact that you are a broken soul. You're lost.
Right. Right. And one thing I guess that has made it the hardest in America, unlike a lot of other places that have allowed themselves to be completely colonized, we still have fight in us and we still have fight amongst the group.
Mm,
So as more generations come up, we just, like we're the generation that would refuse. You're going to kill all of us. I mean, there's probably less of my generation that would allow you to put them in slavery that than I would say probably any other generation. But we are the generation that came up through cocaine and crack and
mhm,
all of the gangs, drive-bys, multiple murders every week. So you're talking about a generation, this little gap between the 70s and what 90s. Oh man, we ready for it all. So outside of that, you got the old head generation that really is the ones that really kind of need to come on in and understand. You have a lot of political power. If we're a base, then we need to control the tone of the day, and it begins with us. But we first have to learn how to simply say no.
mhm. And see, and this is why I feel like programs like this, collaborations like this is very important because we have two different generations on the same page. This is what they
Yeah.
don't want to happen,
Fact.
because they'll look at an older person and be all like, "Oh, you're washed up. Your opinion doesn't matter.
Mhm.
You're irrelevant." They'll look if that older person is on code. They'll look
Right.
at a younger person and say, "Well, you're too young. You don't know anything about politics anyway." So your
Right.
opinion doesn't matter. But when they have both, so they attack by both angles. But when we have the team, which is
Mm-hmm.
the mix of black society coming together, when we have
Mm-hmm.
uh, all the different generations on the same accord, and we're not going back and forth with each other,
Facts.
then there's nothing that they can do. They can't really gaslight and belittle our talking points, you know?
Real talk. That's why they're spending so much money right now. Because I don't know, like when you go look at your demographic, but what I'm noticing, for at least from my numbers, I have my followers and subscribers, even just the people who watch. The numbers are, we have the 60s plus all the way down to the 18s. You know what I mean? So that is a huge voting block.
Mm-hmm.
And they fully understand what kind of influence that can have. So I mean, yeah, $30 million is probably just the beginning of what they're really willing to spend. Because what we're pushing, um, man, as you can see, you have lineage based reparations conversations now. So it just took who's eligible and all of that. That just went right on out the window with this California situation, which still has to be followed and stayed on. But it's a start. And now we're having reparation conversations all over the United States. This thing ain't going away. And we're moving into a voting year. You know what kind of statement we can make? You know, man, I mean, the ball is really in our court. I just hope people see it and can let go of the plantation mentality to say our success is based on them versus our success is based on us.
Mm,
And that's how we got to start looking at it.
mm, mm. Absolutely. Um, because this year is going to be a very fundamental year as far as our reparations go. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we're already I think California has already set the precedent that reparations should be lineage based. Now we when we first started like really making headway about reparations, it was
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, do all black people get it? Well, how do you do this? How do you do this? Reparations should be gold, reparations should be Bitcoin,
Right.
reparations should be Popeye's chicken sandwiches. So
Oh,
now,
man.
in every single last, we've been so consistent and on point that
Mm-hmm.
every single time they come up and say reparations is the like, nope, reparations is this.
Man.
Okay, well, they should get reparations. Nope, only we should get reparations. So now it's gotten to a point where they kind of they don't have a logical argument and a loophole out of it.
Right. Right. So now the only thing is just distraction. Or start to try to tell us about how much money they ain't got, which we ain't going for that. Because if you can get that much money over to Ukraine, they ain't even citizens, nor are they even part of the UN. So we don't owe them nothing.
No, no, we don't owe them anything. We don't
Nothing.
owe them anything, and America is going out of. They're bending over backwards to try to help Ukraine without starting World War III because they care about Ukraine so much.
And
Now,
there's
speaking of
ooh.
Ukraine, since we're on the subject, and Ukraine
Mhm.
is something that I haven't really discussed in depth that much, at least on YouTube or especially on YouTube.
Right.
Um, why do you feel like we should Black Americans, specifically Foundation Black Americans, care about Ukraine? And um, if yes, why? If no, why?
Absolutely not. And why first? First off, we haven't began to care about ourselves enough, so I would like to start with that one first. Second of all, we're talking about a group of neo Nazis who have a culture over there of anti-blackness. So to really be praying for them is really to be like wishing well for somebody
My
who
phone is
hates
blowing up, Lord.
you.
I swear this happens all the time, brother.
Oh, it's
Man,
all good. It's
okay, but
all good.
keep it going. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I was pretty much wrapping up. I mean, oh, hey, we got Monique C in the chat. We got boy, y'all deep.
I'm seeing the chat room. Shout out to everybody in the chat because this chat is deep.
Oh, we got Yellow Cat. I see you. So we got some of my moderators
Black
in the house.
Voltron is in here. I know Great Black Shark was in here.
Yeah, I see Great Black Shark in here.
Tia, our sister,
hey, Tia.
Titan.
All
But
right.
I don't want you to get your point about the Ukrainian situation.
Okay, so with the Ukrainian situation, if for us, no, we could stay out of that altogether because we have enough in our own situation here in America to deal with. So I can understand when the people to whom already always hands black people their issues are saying, hey, pray for these people. But these people is blatantly racist. And at this point, anyone asking black people to now pray for a bunch of people who are just like the January 6th people, that is crazy. And for now, I don't understand how people don't put two and two together. I heard a black person tell me that I was being negative about bringing up that fact because I was woke.
You're woke.
I was woke
because you care about your people.
Right.
RG Titan, you beat me to it. Okay. And yet they are sending Ukrainians to Hampton University to go to school.
Bruh. I mean,
so let me ask you, we're supposed to be and you bring up a great point. Let me piggyback off of that. We're supposed to be satisfied with symbolism. Now you have a whole bunch of black people who are struggling to go to college. You have a whole bunch of black people struggling with college debt. They're going to spend a semester in college for free. These are the refugees who have not been vetted, who are not even citizens, and yet they get HBCU, historically black college benefits. So let me ask you, what does that say about the HBCUs? Beatzilla, what do you think about that?
It exposes their origin. Because we all knew that most of these HBCUs were founded by rich other people and other families that were not black. Even Spelman, you know what I'm saying? So with those different institutions, which I would say they're kind of going back to their origins. If you guys have never seen the Roots episode where the dude is like, this is how we get our money at the HBCUs, had the rich white donor, had the dean of the college singing, nobody knows the trouble I see. Had him singing like it was a vaudeville show, man. So that's the history of HBCUs. It's always catering to the white patrons.
Exactly.
Yeah, long history of that. Well, the history.
Yep. and they use this also too. You have a whole lot of white celebrities and white people, white rich people who get to donate. And let me explain this to you all. Anytime a rich person donates to something, you guys understand how donations are tax exempt, right?
Right.
You can write that off on your taxes. So when they donate $1 million, they're writing that off on their taxes, and it gives them good publicity. What's it? Jeff Bezos's ex-wife is starting a campaign for Planned Parenthood, and specifically for black women. You can Google this. Specifically for black women. Yeah. And then somebody was all like, hey, why is it specifically for black women? What are you trying to do? And then somebody else, well, she donated to HBCUs. Donald Trump has. I believe Bill Gates has done so as well. So they donate to HBCUs. So then when they do something racist, they can say, oh, well, look at the HBCUs. It's almost as if it's like you have a token Negro, and that would be your Ketanji Brown Jackson, your Kamala
Mhm.
Harris, and then you have token actions, which is like
Yes.
donating to HBCUs.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're basically buying. You're buying public credibility in people's minds. So, because prime example, look at how these people came out for Joe Rogan. Well, man, I know Joe Rogan. He ain't really racist. I mean, yeah, he was saying he walked in the Planet of the Apes, but I ain't really racist. So
Mhm.
you have people like that are just so eager to cape for these people. I mean, I see it all the time. That's why I would. Matter of fact, that's how I even came into the conversation of being called negative about telling people they were stupid for praying for Ukraine.
Mhm. I was told that, all of the Ukrainians are not neo Nazis. I remember when because I was going hard. Well, all of the Ukrainians are not neo Nazis, and they are going through a hard time, and it is bad for them, and we should feel some type of empathy and sorry for it. So, what is your so when people say this to me, I give them the okay, well, that seems like that's a personal problem, because when black
Yeah.
people go through problems, until and they use the George Floyd world, there was protests around the whole world for George Floyd. Okay, besides that though,
Yeah.
it was really black people in those areas that was starting that up.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
um I didn't see no Ukrainian protest for George Floyd. In fact, I've seen Ukrainians protest to get Derek Chauvin, which is the murderer,
Yep.
free.
Yep. And that shows you the nature of where they're from. I mean, they got Nazi tattoos. Matter of fact, right now, I'm not sure if it's a Google thing or whatnot, but they have been going great links to start censoring how you expose like the Azov battalion people and members like that, because they'll let you mention their name, but if you show them with their shirt off, then all of a sudden they'll start saying, well, hey, you're representing this. No, this is what we're paying for. This is what tax money's going for. So if you're not going to be able to show what we're paying for, then they went ahead and started letting my videos fly. But I came straight out the gate. Is this what you're defending? We're defending Nazis now?
Mm.
Oh, and they just let, oh, okay, we're going to let that was Twitter. We're just going to let that video roll. Thank you. Sorry for the inconvenience. Because I'm just being, I'm just asking. Because you guys want us to support these Nazis. I mean, with the big swastika and all the SS, I mean, we know what it means. And now we have also seen another country remove them from the neo-Nazi list. So there's a situation going on that I hope black folks is paying attention to, and we need to not be distracted by the Ketanji Brown Jacksons and the Lizzos, because that's all symbolic victory, nothing burgers. And Ketanji was handpicked
Mm.
because of her anti-blackness, her deep resentment for black folks. And now that some things are starting to come back about that scrubbed history of hers, it looks like she might have some Nigerian ancestry.
Mm. Well,
And
for those who might not be aware of that, can you explain that to the audience real quick? What is her anti-black history?
so the anti-black history, and let me be very clear when I say this, this is not all Nigerians, but there is a few families out of Nigeria that have ties with the slave trade. And
Mm.
these are very wealthy families. Well, is to be said, allegedly, that she is an offspring of one of those very rich families, meaning that she would be literally a black heiress to foundational black American
Mm.
slaves.
Okay.
Yeah, as an owner.
That's news to me. I didn't even know about that. Somebody else is bringing up Lockheed
Oh
Martin.
yeah, the Lockheed
So
Martin, that was so cold. And I see people making excuses for that. Well, it was too low, and she just felt it was this. As long as you find an excuse for a person when they blatantly choose to go against black folks. There was another woman that was a security officer or a police officer that lost her job and got ruled against all the
mhm,
black people. Every time Katanji had opportunity, even to stand up and for a black police officer, she still chose against the black. She always went against the black folks.
mm.
So what I want to know is, what does her record look like as a public defender? Like, how many people did she deal to prison?
I,
That's
I mean, that's an interesting question, and I feel like that's a question that we should know. That should be public information.
It should have been one of the first things that came out, because you're telling us she's a public defender. Well, then who did she defend successfully?
Hmm.
And I ain't seen. There's no testimonial of anybody who didn't go to prison behind her. Not one.
Yeah, and like I'm saying, it's too late in the game. First off, we never should have been on this, but
Man,
fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
right.
Okay, and that's what we've been dealing with. So it is our responsibility to adapt and to learn. Okay, we understand that a black face in a high place, quote unquote, is not beneficial to the group.
Right.
Now, you would instantly think that that would be, because you would instantly think, being a person with morality and common sense, that black people have a commonality in the lives that they've lived in the system of white supremacy. So we have a moral obligation, and each of us know we have a moral obligation to, if we see something that we can do to help, we will
Mm-hmm.
do that. So the assumption has been carried on far too long, where we believe that any black person who's in a position where they can do something will do something.
Right. Right. Yeah, and that's that. I hope now a lot of people are seeing it, and it's kind of feeling like they are. Um, so for the people who are on the fence, I would just say, at this point, trust your gut and trust your eyes. You've already seen where you came from, and you haven't made too much progress. If you go back and listen to like old Martin Luther King videos and interviews, even Malcolm X, and even for that matter, Marcus Garvey.
Mm,
There shouldn't be anything that we are still facing today dealing with these doggone Democrats in 2022 that they were telling us about 70, 80 years ago. Like, so we really need to come up to speed and understand these folks been playing us for a fiddle, and time to break the strings.
absolutely.
Time to break them
Couldn't have
strings.
said it better. Um, Once again, if you guys have not subscribed yet to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it if you do so. Go check
Mm-hmm.
out our brother Beatzilla Official and
Yes,
his
indeed.
channel. Beatzilla, let's give our closing statements.
All right.
So I'll let you go, and then you can tell people where to find you.
Yes, indeed. I would just tell y'all to make sure to always stay politically in tune with what is going on, with how things around you and your local government will affect you,
Hmm.
and how things in a grand scheme of things will affect you. And at this point, major non-vote down the ballot at this point, except for any particular, maybe those little ordinances in your personal counties that will affect you personally. Take care of that part. But as far as like, oh, presidential this and all that, man, miss me with all of that. Till president candidate want to come over here talking about, we gonna have this for black folks. Here's your protection for black folks. We good. So no tangibles, no vote. Make sure you get what you need to. Also, thanks everyone for New Black Media Appreciation Month. You know, we had the big three, and I was day four. So I appreciate all of y'all and watching, seeing all y'all's testimonials about what New Black Media has meant to y'all has been very eye opening for me. And man, I just say shout out to all of y'all. So you can follow me on Instagram, BeatzillaPDX, and on Twitter at BeatzillaPDX, and then right here on YouTube at the BeatzillaPDX official show. So with that being said, y'all, I appreciate y'all having me, and thank you for having me, my brother. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you for coming, brother. Thank you very much for coming. And so the chat knows all of his Instagram, his Twitter, and his YouTube. All of that is in the description below. So all you got to do is scroll down and click on all of those things. If you guys have not followed him already, please do so. And while you're down there, you might as well leave this channel a like and subscribe if you guys have not done so. But my closing statements is these situations, conversations like this where you have different types of and I don't want to say like different types of black people, but black people of really different types. You have young black people, you have older black people, and I'm not calling, but black people.
No. I'm a married man with grown children. It's all
exactly.
good, brother.
you have black men, you have black women, you have different, all of these people coming together in unison and pushing out black empowerment with the same voice.
Yeah.
This isn't I want to push out black empowerment and screw this group. We're all like, we're black first, and this is us coming together. And any personal beef, any personal not, that's not as important as what we're dealing with right now. We're on a path, a steady growing crusade to reparations. Shout out to our brother Marcel, because he's a candidate who's very pro reparations in South Carolina. So salute to him. Salute to everybody who's pro reparations and doing the good work. And they can't shake us. They can't shake us. They're right now they're throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks, and nothing is sticking. Nothing is sticking. We're not phased. We're not distracted. Okay, there's nothing that they can do to make us to pivot us off. Every single tactic, and I said this I think in a space or in a YouTube video before, every single tactic that they use, it's the last time that they get to use that. Okay. Black people collectively were not really jubilant by Juneteenth, because we were already celebrating Juneteenth, realistically. I know I have family in Texas that were celebrating Juneteenth years before Juneteenth was like a big thing. So I'm like, okay, we were already celebrating Juneteenth. You making Juneteenth a federal holiday, that's cool, I guess. But I mean, that's not impressing us. Kamala Harris, that's not impressing us. You got away with that, talking about black women. Then when she gets in there, now we're seeing her do stuff for Asians. Now we're seeing her do stuff for everybody else. Okay, that's the last Kamala Harris you'll ever get away with Ketanji Brown Jackson. Okay, Ketanji, you were talking about black women, we should support her. Now when she gets in here and when she fails, just like how Kamala did, that will be the last Ketanji Brown Jackson. With Obama, they learned this with Obama. Obama thought that he would have endless support for the rest of his entire life. After he didn't even last his whole term before the black support plummeted. And he was out there talking about it would be a disrespect to my legacy if you guys do not vote for forgot her name. I'm sorry. Yeah, what's it? Hillary Clinton. If you guys don't vote, it's disrespectful to me if you don't do that. So, okay. Obama's support plummeted because he's looking like, damn, I thought I had so much pull among black people that I could just tell them who to vote for and they would vote for it. He's like, nah, we'll let Trump beat Hillary. So that's the last Obama they'll ever get away with. So they're desperate, and that's why we got to keep going with the pressure. We have to stay on code and stay consistent.
Facts. Absolutely, I couldn't agree better, man.
Well, thank you everyone who has liked. Thank you everybody who has subscribed. Thank you everybody for the super chats. Thank you Samuel Logan. Thank you Mr. Bucket List and Ebony Ma. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you everybody once again. Shout out to the mods. Shout out to
Mhm.
everybody in the chat
Yes,
as well
indeed.
too. Be one to every single last one of you all.
We won, y'all.
And we will catch you all later this week. And like I said, don't forget to support our brother Beatzilla and his channel. Links are in the
So,
description. But you all have a good one.